After all you did for them, how could they just walk away? If you've ever whispered that thought or had tears or screamed in frustration, you are not alone. And so many moms feel blindsided, like they gave everything and yet still lost the connection with their adult child. So here's the hard question. What if holding on to what you think you're owed is actually holding you back from healing? This is a little controversial. I have different thoughts on it myself, and I just want to share with you because I think it's extremely powerful to think about this from both perspectives, not just from our pain. We operate out of our pain, and that's what we need to stop doing. So let's dive right in. Number one is love given freely. We give our kids unconditional love, right? Whether you adopted your child, you gave birth to your child, that love doesn't come with strings. You did what moms do. You showed up, you gave your time, energy, money, and heart. And that's what we do, as we should. And you made sacrifices, some that no one maybe even knows about. Generationally, nobody prepared us for this. Our moms didn't have a language for estrangement. It happened back then, but nobody really talked about it. Our grandmothers didn't post about it, that's for sure. Most family fractures were silent. They weren't spoken about, they weren't processed. And so now, here we are in 2025, navigating this. And if you are navigating this with no map, it makes sense that it hurts deeply. Here's the truth. If we attach invisible strings to the love we gave, believing that our children owe us something in return, we're risking it, aren't we? It turns something beautiful into something transactional. Now, don't get me wrong here. I am not saying that I think your kids don't owe you anything or that they shouldn't be around. It's not that I agree with what we're dealing with in this epidemic, because I don't. Even if I hadn't experienced it myself, I think this is craziness that we're going through. And again, a disclaimer, if an adult child or you as the mom have been physically abused by your child or by the parent, 100% you need to walk away. But what happens is we end up keeping a scoreboard. It doesn't mean that what you gave didn't matter. But sometimes we are expecting this payoff. We have this, and we envision in our head what it's going to look like. We focus on that instead of our own healing. So we're so hyper-focused on what went wrong and why it went wrong, and we're not focusing on our own healing. And we turn into the victim. I'm not saying you don't feel like a victim. I know I did at times. It was just unexplainable and I couldn't understand it. But I want to remind you that for some of us, there were things that we did. There were communication issues. There were some control issues. But some of you, this has more to do with your son or daughter than it does you. I'm not expecting them to agree to that. I'm not expecting them to raise their hand and say, yeah, you're right. But I know that some of you moms are raising your hand and saying, yeah, there are some things that I could change. There are some things that I would do better next time. And you're doing the work to make that happen. So in the future, when you come back together, it's going to be a stronger relationship. Number two, resentment grows where entitlement lives. We all know the kids that are entitled, right? It's human to want recognition. It's human to want your child to say, I see what you did for me. We also know the moms that are entitled. But when the desire for that becomes a demand or an expectation, that literally can morph into resentment. And that is a slow poison. Regardless of who you are resenting and for what reason, it is a slow poison. It doesn't just affect your relationship with your child. It's going to affect your joy, your faith, your sleep, your health, and your ability to move forward. So when you live in that they owe me space too long, you unconsciously shift into that victim mode, like I was saying, and start to believe you're stuck, you're powerless, and at the mercy of their choices. But you're not. You're hurt, and the pain is definitely real, but you are not powerless. Healing happens when you take your focus off what someone else won't give and start giving yourself what you need. So powerful. If this resonates with you, I want to invite you to book a discovery call with me. It is not a coaching session, as you know. It is a conversation. It is a consultation to help you understand where you're at, maybe even what stage of estrangement you're in, and how we can walk this path together. So if you are interested in that, feel free. The spots are limited, so please grab yours. And the show notes below, there will be a link. Okay, number 3, real reconnection can't be forced. I think you know that. And let's be honest, many moms just want their child to come back home. Not physically always, but emotionally. You want to feel chosen, and I get that. But here's something to think about. If your child came back because they felt guilty or pressured or obligated, do you think that would truly heal the relationship? Connection rooted in those things and guilt, it doesn't last. It usually just leads to more resentment on both sides later. And I am a very strong proponent in let's rebuild this relationship better than it was before. Let's heal what needs to be healed so we can move forward. So instead, what if you let your love and your grace and all these things be an invitation, not a demand? And I know a lot of you are completely understanding what I'm saying here, but some of you might be thinking, what in the world is she talking about? An invitation? That's my son or daughter. How could they not come back home? I used to say that to my daughter all the time. It made no logical sense to me. But you need to come from a posture of peace, not pressure. You start pressuring your kids, you're pushing them further away. But that doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior, disrespectful behavior. It means setting down the you owe me and instead coming from a posture of I'm here when you're ready. And in the meantime, I'm working on me, right? That's the ideal situation for both parties. And lastly, number 4 is we need to shift the focus. What do you owe yourself in this season? You've spent many years of giving. You gave your best, probably gave from an empty tank many times. Instead of asking, why don't they see what I did? I'd rather have you ask, what do I need to see now? Do you need to owe yourself some grace for not being a perfect parent? Because I promise you there's no such thing. And do you owe yourself some rest from this emotional exhaustion? Maybe you even owe yourself some healing from wounds that started long before your child walked away. Might even be from your own childhood. This season of estrangement, of a rocky relationship, or maybe fully estranged, may not have been your choice, but how you respond to it is. Because that, my friends, is the only thing you have control over, is your response. God can still use this pain to strengthen you and deepen your own life and reveal a purpose that doesn't depend on whether they come back or when they come back. Because when they come back, we want it to be better and different. We don't want to go through this again. But you owe yourself some love and truth and peace. And so I pray that that's what you get. And like I said, that we don't want this to come back full circle and happen again. I see moms where that happens, and this is the 2nd or 3rd time. We've got to stop right here. We need to really analyze some things, what's happening. So I hope that resonated with you today, and I will see you in the next episode. God bless.